everybody, this is Eric Johnson. I'm here today with both Tober and Belle. Belle's staring at me from the carpet, and Tober is zonked out next to the tripod for the camera. This is part 3 of my interview with Mr. X. At this point, I just prefer to call him X. It's easier. Everybody seems pretty happy with the first 2 interviews. This is the conclusion, and I seem a little confused when the interview starts in the car, so I'll just tell you that, well, you've probably just watched it, but for my own benefit, we had just discussed some of the legalities of the case, and I'll leave it at that. A little later on, I'm going to come back and discuss something Fenn said himself in the Dan Barbarese book. I went out and got the book, and I know I had told some people I wasn't going to go get it unless it had the solve in it. Well, I went and got it anyway. I saw Sacha, Dent, and Jason and some guy talking about it on this guy's show. I'm not sure who he was, but I'll put the link in if I can find it. Long story short, it looks like a really good book. It's kind of an encapsulation of the chase. So, you know, it's not really a matter of a lot of it you're familiar with, and but some of it you aren't. There's a couple of interesting things that were brought up in it. One of which I would like to discuss more in a future video. But the bottom line is, I found it good reading, and I kind of liked having something that, you know, it occurred that kind of, you know, tied it all together as we go post-chase. I mean, eventually, if nothing happens with this, any kind of legal aspects of this, then it's just going to fade into obscurity. Maybe we'll remember it for the rest of our lives, but the country won't, and the world won't, and it'll just be a little tiny footnote to most people, if even that. Oh, that treasure hunt that happened somewhere out west. I mean, people will remember that. So, I hope you guys enjoy this. But a point I wanted to make was that I thought was kind of cool. If you were a part of the hunt, whether you were an actual searcher out, boots on the ground, or even just someone who followed it, I think it would be kind of cool to buy the book and sign it for future posterity. And the reason I think that might be cool for some people to do, to leave it as kind of a little minor family heirloom, is because if I was to come across a book today that was written back in the day about the 49ers, say the California 49ers, and someone in my family who lived back in the 1800s had actually gone out to the gold fields or gone out panning, and they had bought that book at the time and then signed it, you know, saying this is Joe Smith and I was a 49er, and then leave the book for future generations to read, I think it would just give it a little kind of cool cachet. Even though we didn't find it or anything, I just think it would be cool to buy that book and just, for some people, I'm not going to do it, but I mean, I think some people it would be kind of cool to do, and then just leave it, you know, with your kids or whatever for future generations. And you could sign off as I was in the Forrest Fenn Treasure Hunt, even though I didn't find it. Anyway, just thought. All right, hope everyone enjoys the interview with X. I don't really know all the ins and outs of that, but whatever. I just think this is gonna, and I think we're now on again. So yeah, the whole thing with the whatever you were just talking about is true.
Would you go back to the guy that got caught digging up a cemetery?
Ooh.
In Yellowstone? It was Fort Yellowstone Cemetery. He dug it up in 2019 and 2020. He gets caught, and now he gets sentenced to 6 months imprisonment or 6 months home detention, followed by 2 years of supervised release in order to pay $31,566 in restitution.
Wow, that's not
As much as
that's not as much as Erskine's going to have to pay for his court fees. And
right, but was it worth it? He dug a hole in the ground.
No, it wasn't.
And it's just, this is a national park that's owned by all the U.S. citizens. It just seems a little bit out of control, especially since Fenn stated that the treasure was not in a cemetery. This guy was in Fort Yellowstone Cemetery.
I know, yeah, you're right. He made a point of saying that. One thing I wanted to mention was, the thing about the FBI raid. You said that Fenn never got charged, correct? Some people speculate, and this is incredibly cynical, but they speculate that Fenn turned evidence on some of the other, because they hit him and they hit other Santa Fe dealers, and some people thought that it was very odd that he never got charged, and I don't think Fenn had a lot of love for the FBI, so I would think maybe he would not do that, but who knows what we do when we're under threat of being charged with something. Some people just thought maybe he gave them some information about somebody else and just got off the hook. All right, so we're at that point where I think it's necessary to drop into the conversation and talk about what Forrest Fenn had to say about the FBI BLM raid. It's funny, BLM, Black Lives Matter. This is Bureau of Land Management, and what the Bureau of Land Management and the FBI did when they came to his house, per Fenn in the Dan Barbarese book. This is stuff that's been quoted also other places. I say that some people speculated that Forrest Fenn may have turned evidence on other treasure seekers, pot hunters, whatever, that were caught up in the raids in Santa Fe, and that's how he got away with being charged. Forrest Fenn has a very plausible explanation for why he didn't get charged. Now, it doesn't mean he didn't do anything wrong. As X pointed out, he did have some things confiscated. But this is what Fenn said about the way the raid occurred. Fenn says in the Dan Barbarese book, "They accused me of going in a cave in Arizona on government property and taking some things out of it, which was against the law. First of all, it wasn't on government property. Somebody had said something about me and they bought into it. That they did. And on June 10th, 2009, that they did. And on June 10th, 2009, an army of agents from various government agencies descended on Fenn's compound. There were 23 agents of the federal government for 7.5 hours searching my property," Fenn said. "It wasn't an FBI raid, though an FBI guy was there. It was BLM, Bureau of Land Management. There was Game and Fish, archaeologist, OSHA even." He was still mad at the government over it, almost a decade later, feeling like he and his name had been unfairly dragged through the mud for little reason. The search warrant said, "Look for evidence of anything that would indicate a crime had been committed," Fenn said. "Jesus Christ, that's 270-some man-hours they spent searching my house, and they didn't find anything." That's not true, as Barbarese points out, and as X pointed out in the interview. Barbarese said, well, that's not completely accurate. They did confiscate 4 items, according to the Arizona Republic. One object, a buffalo skull, was sold to an undercover agent, while agents took another buffalo skull, an old basket, and an art object he made himself. I can only speculate that art object had pieces or parts to it that the BLM thought were worth confiscating. So Fenn, he says they didn't take anything. Yes, they did. He has this ability to slant things. I mean, again, that's just lying. I know I'm being a little picayune, but I'm trying to get a sense of the man, and it's just for there's just a couple of few people there that I swear they're still out there, and they are just, Fenn is Jesus Christ come back to earth, or was, and he's not. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, they didn't take anything. They did take some, they did find stuff they confiscated. Yeah, it goes on to say about times he did take stuff out. Tony Duckapill talks about it. So, Fenn's take on why he was not charged is thus. Again, Dan Barbarisi's book. Fenn told me that ultimately he got the government to turn tail and run because they had overstepped their bounds in their quest to nail him. They falsified the affidavit and the search warrant, Fenn claimed. We caught them doing it. There's smoking guns in both documents. Fenn said they agreed to hold him immune from all laws regulated. Fenn said they agreed to hold him immune from all laws related. Jesus. Fenn said they agreed to hold him immune from all laws related to the Four Corners case if he agreed not to sue for improprieties in the affidavit for the search warrant. My attorney asked me if I wanted to pursue it. To sue them, Fenn said. I'd spent $30,000. I'm getting old. I'd been living under threat of prosecution. Long story short, he didn't want to sue the government, so it was a standoff. He had them for falsifying stuff. They had him, and it was a draw. He doesn't get prosecuted. He doesn't sue them. So he says. This sounded a bit overblown, like something that couldn't possibly be true, and Fenn sensed my barely concealed skepticism. He raised himself off the couch, taking those quick, shallow breaths, and pattered over to his desk, where he brought out the 2013 non-prosecution agreement with the government offering him immunity in exchange for dropping his right to sue. Signed by all parties. He didn't stop there, grabbing paper after paper out of his drawers and handing them to me, each one illustrating another grievance he had against his enemy, the government, and supporting his view that they overreached. So, that's why Fenn did not get charged, prosecuted, etc., according to Fenn. He had them in a stalemate. So, you know, that's not to say they couldn't have gone after him if they had done their job. That's not to say they couldn't have gone after him if they had done their job properly and not falsified things to try to get him. But he got them, so that's why there were no charges. All right.
I mean, anything is possible. The real bottom line is that he was not charged. Fenn was not charged.
Right.
I think his goal was legacy. Look at all the things that he did, all the books that he wrote about his life, the people that he sought out because of his art studio, people that were famous. He wanted to be friends with them.
Yep.
He really did things for his legacy and pointed to his legacy. And I think the FBI raiding his home, taking certain things out of there, was a direct slap in the face of a guy who really led a life that he wanted people to admire, that he was a fighter pilot, that he really helped this country, he loved the country. But the FBI going after him, I think it really put a dent in Fenn's legacy.
You know, one thing, this is totally aside, has nothing to do with anything about the hunt, but one thing I have always found really interesting, and I would have asked Fenn this if I had ever met him, how does a guy who considers himself such a maverick and such a kind of anti-authoritarian figure, how does that guy put 20 years into the Air Force? The only thing I could figure out was that he kind of played the Air Force. We know that he would take jets in his off time, it sounded like, and he would just go flying up and down canyons looking for stuff. So maybe he just didn't quite, his time in the service wasn't the same as it would be for other people.
I think there's some people, especially with Fenn's generation, that were very loyal to this country, that they really cared about it and thought that serving their country was a very noble thing to do. I believe that. I think it's great. Then, remember, he, in 1988, he was diagnosed with cancer. He claims that they said that it was terminal, and the hunt began in about 2010. It gave him a lot of time to think about what he really wanted to do. And again, the treasure hunt ended, but there are still bells that are out there that Fenn created himself and buried them. He wanted his legacy to go an awful long time. And that's one of the reasons to write those books and to show all the pictures and tell the stories about your life, not just for your family and his grandchildren and great-grandchildren and so on, but for others to admire what he did in his life.
Right. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Well, this has been really interesting. I think we've managed to get almost 3 15 to 20 minute segments, which is quite a lot. I think I'm gonna make this a separate series. I was gonna add it on to something I had just finished up, and I hope we can do this again because. I really appreciate you coming on. I think it's wonderful. You've had.
If you ever need me, certainly reach out. I'm more than happy to chat with you. And again, one day we all are looking for the same thing, which is the truth. Tell me the truth, and I can deal with it. But to have this many issues, innuendos, things that are out there that we may never know, it's very disturbing by a lot of us that put time, effort, and apparently other people who lost their lives on trying to find Forrest Fenn's treasure that he buried. And this is not the way this should have ended.
Absolutely. Amen, brother. All right.
Take care.
Okay.
Be well. Stay safe.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye. Well, there you go, folks. I mean, that guy knows his shit. I'm telling you, he's a smart guy, and he's really, really been studying this big time for a long time. And it sounds like we're going to do another video. I know this is a little odd today. I just thought it would be a fun way to do it. Kind of drive around where I live. That's all I got for you, folks. There it is. No outlet for us to get the solve or the treasure location. We're never going to know. It's the saddest thing you've ever heard of. This, by the way, has nothing to do with where I live. I just pulled down here to turn around. I think I'm going to go around this. Oh, a roundabout. You don't see hardly any roundabouts here in South Carolina. They're too progressive. They're too confusing. I never like them. They're almost as screwed up as four-way stop signs. About to head over the dam on my way home here. We have the chain link fence. Maybe it's been licked. The chain link fence where the high school kids, they put in the teenagers, they put up their little lockets to show their enduring love for each other. They've been threatened they're going to have to take the fences down if it gets too heavy. The locks are going to, look at this, see this up here? It's kind of cool. I mean, in a weird sort of way. Those are all locks professing love. pouring love from these heart-stricken kids. See that way over there? Can you see that where there's a see that blue roof? See that blue roof over there? I'm not sure. Is this yeah, there's a blue roof over there. To the left of that there's a cove with a bunch of sailboats in it. That's where I live. Very close. I used to have a motorboat, a 21-footer. I would go out on this thing all the time for years until it sank one day when I I didn't have the tarp completely on. We had a really bad rainstorm and the bilge pump didn't work, which normally it would have, but I don't know what happened, but it sank. And then after that, you know, we're talking about a 21-foot boat, you know, and I had to have it taken out of the water, and it just kind of lost its allure after. I realized, you know, Eric, you got to take this a lot more seriously if you're going to have a. This here is a double system that was set up. This is an extra dam to protect against, supposedly protect against an earthquake in case the original dam collapsed, and we would have a second dam. People have questioned whether that would really handle the amount of water coming through a crack in this dam, the pressure. But a lot of people also think the earthquake thing was not real because this was after 9/11 that they put in this second structure as a backup, and some people think it was a fear that we could have a terrorist attack here, and someone might want to take out the dam, which would all the people down that goes down to the city of Columbia, and it would take out a lot of houses. It would kill a lot of people, quite frankly, if that water all went down, you know, to through a broken dam. This lake is humongous. It's, I think, the third artificially contained water in the world. I think one of them is in Saudi Arabia. There's one other one somewhere. It used to be the number one, but now it's like number 3 or 4 or 5. It's big though. Alright folks, I just thought I'd give you that little snippet of information. There's new luxury retirement homes going up there. They aren't finished yet. I'm never going to be in one of those. Ever. Ever. People say, oh, Eric, what are you going to do if you get dementia or something? Put a bullet in my friggin' head, probably. What the hell is the point when you got dementia of living? I don't even understand why you would. I mean, like Hunter S. Thompson said, it's not fun anymore. He put a bullet in his head. You know, there just comes a point where if the quality of life is to the point where you don't even know your name, what is the point? Well, that's a happy note to end this on. I hope everyone feels better. And talk to you later. It's Toba the Boba. He's my pride and joy. It's Toba the Boba. He's my little boy. He's Toba Boba. He's Toba Boba. He's Toba Boba. He's Toba Boba. Toba Boba. He's my little boy. It's Toba the Boba. He's my pride and joy. Toba Boba. Toba Boba. Toba Boba. Toba Boba. Well, what did you think about the videos, Tober? Were they good? You were like, kind of like, nah, you've seen one, you've seen them all. You're just getting to be a very spoiled cat, aren't you? You're getting jaded, buddy. Yeah, you're getting jaded. He's a boy, Toba boy. He's Toba boy. He's my Toba boy. He's Toba boy. He's my pride and joy. He's Toba Boba. He's Toba Boba. He's Toba Boba.
It's a ball. Well, folks, another day, another morning, another start to an exciting adventure. These guys are about to get their breakfast. Yeah. So we'll see you in the future. Everybody have a good day. And Tober says, everybody have fun. Yeah. All right. See you later, everybody. All right.